Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Fantasy Flight Games just announced Twilight Imperium Thunder's Edge. We're going to talk about this new expansion to Twilight Imperium 4th edition in today's video. Very exciting time. This thing, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on with this expansion. Very, very cool stuff. We're going to look at it, and this is very much probably the first of several previews of this new expansion. It's the second expansion for the game, second physical expansion, big box physical expansion, Thunder's Edge, just announced yesterday. So let's talk about this, because this one's gonna be very exciting. If you're a Twilight Imperium fan, or if you're interested in getting into it, this is a great time, because it's gonna be very, very popular. And I am heck, I'm even considering getting involved in. There's been talks of possible Twilight Imperium game at Adepticon. You know, again, it'd be a fun excuse to get a lot of folks together to play some big game of Twilight Imperium 4th edition. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this. If you guys are new here to the channel, we talk a lot about tabletop games, space games, board games, miniatures games, everything in between. Love to have you stick around. We are doing another round of the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on one of my videos. Let me know your thoughts on Twilight Imperium Thunder's Edge down in the comments section below. I want to hear some of your predictions for this game, some of your hot takes on this article from Fantasy Flight Games. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So Thunder's Edge, a new expansion for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. We're going to be getting new races, an entirely new way to play, a new planet that kind of changes it, certain mutators that are going to change every game. But this doesn't look like we're getting a whole lot of plastic. There is some plastic in here. It looks like it's a little bit more card-based, but there is some plastic in here as well. We'll talk about that. Which as somebody who's painted all of his Twilight Imperium, the less plastic, the better at this point. I know. Why am I saying that? The less plastic, the better? It's fine. It's fine. Yes. So Thunder's Edge is a new expansion for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Fantasy Flight just announced this. We've got a new planet, right? This is called Thunder's Edge, the planet. And they're showing you two different parts of it. There's an expedition side and a planet side. Basically, each player can try to do an expedition on Thunder's Edge, and once 6 expeditions have been done, then you're going to flip the planet over. Whoever had the most expeditions on there, they get the planet with that many resources. And every time you do an expedition, just because there's only 6 on here doesn't mean that you can only play it with a 6-player game. You can do multiple expeditions on it. You can play it with an 8-player game, and not everybody gets to do an expedition. Big thing about was when you do an expedition on Thunder's Edge to try to find Thunder's Edge, I guess. You basically unlock this new unlockable. Right? They're called breakthroughs. They're going to give your basically your race a huge new ability that's going to be very impactful, and it's going to be, again, species specific. Every race is going to get all this stuff. So all the stuff that is going to be unique to new races in this game is going to apply to all of the races from the core game and from the Prophecy of Kings expansion. So if you have only the core game, you're good to go. You can play this. It doesn't sound like anything in here requires Prophecy of Kings. I'm sure there may be something that will kind of work with that. Again, you're going to have obviously the faction stuff, the racial stuff that is unique to the races that come in Prophecy of Kings will require that. But I think if you only have the core game, you can still pick this up and utilize some, if not all, of its aspects and components. For example, the Thunder's Edge. I'm sorry, planet. So yeah, so you're going to be able to get something. You're going to get this new cool card that gives you a new ability. They preview some of them. It also will allow you to kind of have this interchange between your different technology colors that you can do one at a time. So you can be swapping greens for reds or reds for greens, but not both at the same time. So that is a new thing that they're previewing. And so there's the Arborec one, and this is another thing, by the way, I love about Fantasy Flight Games and the way that they do previews. They give you these little, like these pop-ups so you can cycle through all of the cards. So here's also Stellar Genesis, which is for the Embers of Muat. So we're getting all of that stuff. And this is the synergies. They talk about the synergies. There's also going to be some new planets that are going to be off of the board, which if you roll a 1 or a 10 when you're doing your breakthrough, all of a sudden you can be like, hey, look, we found this kind of rift in space, and those new tiles. Notice that these are like multi-tiles that are connected, so it's kind of like they're creating a whole different section of space. So that's new stuff. There's also new plastic. Again, it's not the focus of this expansion. The focus is more on the cards. But these are going to be neutral units, so you can have kind of like a neutral race, which I wonder if this is going to open the board for like solo play or something like that, or maybe 2-player games if you're going after the gray units. Again, I'd love to learn more about that as it becomes available. Another thing is galactic events. These are mutators. These are cards that are going to come out at the start of the game that are going to change something. They talk about this one called Stellar Atomics, which is pretty nasty. This basically allows people to kind of blow away a planet, but then they don't get to vote. So kind of like you're nuking a planet. Everybody gets a once per game ability. So here's exactly how it says. During setup, each player places one of their control tokens on this card. All players can perform the following action. Action! Discard your control token from this card to destroy all ground forces and structures on any non-home planet. Like Mechatol Rex, for example. If you do not have a control token on this card, you cannot vote or play action cards during the agenda phase. So, like reading over this at first, I was like, oh yeah, you just lose the ability to vote. And like, not just like vote on the next turn. You can never vote again, which is really wild. Now, you're also incentivized from more of a meta perspective. You're incentivized to nuke at some point because you might run out of control tokens. You might need that control token back, at a certain point. So if you're just, by the end of the game, you're running out of control tokens, you want to maximize them all, you want to use all of them, and you know what, I'm going warfare, I'm going to have this huge fleet that's coming through, and I need my tokens for that, all the more reason to just say, I'm not voting with you guys anymore. I am now just going to nuke. So that's cool. It's a steep price to play. And then there's some other ones. They talk about the Age of Commerce. Players do not have to be neighbors to perform transactions with each other. Players do not have minimum numbers of commodities. When they refresh commodities, they gain a number of commodities equal to their commodity value instead. Players can share non-faction technologies with other players as part of a transaction. When sharing a technology, the receiving player gains the technology from their own deck. The sharing player does not lose the technology. So this is a really cool one that's just more lighthearted and fluffy, whereas the Stellar Atomics is much less lighthearted, much heavier hearted, and not fluffy at all. I wouldn't venture to call that fluffy in the slightest bit. So yeah, but another thing that's kind of cool is that they show the complexity in the bottom right hand corner. So they're kind of showing you like, oh, this one's kind of simple, it's straightforward. This one's a little bit more complex, right? Oh, here's one that's more complex. I haven't even looked at this one yet, so we're going to take a look at it now. During the setup, all players gain the Fighter 2 unit upgrade technology, so you're upgrading your fighters right away, which is better for some folks than others, right? The Nalu Collective player gains Hybrid Crystal Fighter 2 technology instead, of course. Fighters that count against your fleet pool have capacity value of 1. Fighters cannot transport other fighters. Non-fighter ships are purged when they are destroyed. Oh, wow. So the Age of Fighter, I see. That's gonna vary. That I can see why that one's high complexity. That's gonna fundamentally alter the game quite a bit. That's massive. So yeah. So I think the complexity is there. Is that how much does it change that core game experience? Having more trade and sharing potential isn't really, that game breaking. Of course, if you're new to the game, probably don't play with any of these at all. Learn how the base game works before you start adding these in, because they're basically mutators, right? And then we got a new race, right? The Last Bastion. And this is just one of them. There's more than, I think they said there's a couple. There's 5 new factions, as a matter of fact, included. You know how I knew that? Because it says it right there. There are 5 new factions. Reading is so good. I'll put a link to this article in the video description below so you can check it out and read all of this for yourself. I'm not going to read all of this because there is a lot here. but there's plenty to dig into. And if you do, if you're overwhelmed, if you like to read and you're a little overwhelmed with the number of factions, they're giving you these faction starter sets. They're like little primer cards that tell you all of the unique things about this faction, their unique technologies, all of it, like basically a reference card in a game that maybe you don't play as often. Like I love Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Probably my favorite game of all time. However, also one of the games I can get to table least of all. Like I love this game. I love this game so much that when I get to play it, it's like a Christmas. It's better, maybe better than Christmas. I play it rarer than Christmases. I didn't even play it once a year. I think I play it once every 2 years, on average, if you look at since I first started till now. So I have not been able to play it recently. Currently working on getting a local game going. But which is strange for a game for you. You're going to love it that much, but you're able to play it so few. When you get busy in life, it's harder to play bigger games like this. But no, I love this game, but I forget a lot of the faction abilities. And so like this is going to be so nice. I hate when you're playing a game and you forget to use tools that your faction or the game gave you. So this is just a really, really nice resource. Also, all of the Codex stuff. So I didn't know what Codexes were for a while. Basically, these are like errata and print and play documents, changes, and a few additions and stuff like that. So all of this stuff that was print and play PDF stuff that Fantasy Flight had put out, again, they have been updating this almost like as if it were like a miniatures game or a card game or whatever. It's been getting routine and continuous support over the years, which is a really cool thing for a board game, especially a big board game. But it's more than just a board game. It's Twilight Imperium, right? It's more than a board game. It's Twilight Imperium. It's more than a game. It's a way of life. No, I don't know. I'm looking for catchphrases. Anyway, it's a great game. But all of the codexes, they're printing those out and making those official, which is cool because I have not messed with any of the codexes at all. Because a lot of the people that I do play with are a lot more casual players, and I don't want to like start changing all the rules on them. And this will kind of at least bring everybody up to speed. All the kitchen table players like me. I don't do tournaments for Twilight Imperium, but I'm more of a casual player of it, even though I love it. I love it. So that's cool. You're getting all of these cards like printed out, which is good. And then there's Twilight's Fall. Twilight's Fall is an all-new game mode. A brand new way to play Twilight Imperium. Now, there's a lot more questions that I have than I have answers. In short, it's kind of like a build a faction or a create a faction. This one I will read to you. It says, set in a dark, alternate future, the Twilight's Fall mode has each player take up the mantle of a mad Mahak king, building their own custom faction from the scraps of interstellar civilization. With its own spread of unique faction sheets, strategy cards, and components, Twilight's Fall is practically an entire new game in and of itself. We'll share more details about this colossal addition to the game in its own dedicated article at a later date, so stay tuned. And I will absolutely be looking into that. I wonder if it's going to use some of the roll and write stuff, if it's going to have like disposable sheets that you like write on them and then like all right, here's what my faction gains and stuff like that. I could see them doing that. I have a little pushback on like actually having to write on stuff, but I mean you can just make copies, right? Photocopy it or do it digitally on an iPad or whatever. If it's something like that, there's going to have to be a way for you to record what stats and what upgrades you're taking if you're building your own faction, sort of. And then there's also a book called Echoes of Memory, and they've done a couple of books and comics and other stuff for Twilight Imperium. So yes, a lot of news for Twilight Imperium 4th edition today. There's a lot here. It's very exciting. I'm very excited. Let me know if you're a Twilight Imperium player. Look at some of those new races. We got little previews of them right there, right? We got alligator men or lizard men. They're very, very lizardy, very iguana kind of chameleon men. We've got the red mist on the left, and we've got these little kobold looking dudes, and it looks like an angel in the background. I don't know what's the story there. I kind of like the angel thing going on. It's kind of cool. Maybe, side question, let me know what you think in the comments below. But maybe, since Asmodee did acquire CMON, and CMON did that little limited edition kind of comic books that had the capital ships, right? The flagships, but it was only for some of the races. Like, a lot of people were like, are they going to redo that and make it less limited, less exclusive, or do the rest of the ships? I wonder if that will be something that also comes out. Of course, it's some purely cosmetic, but it'd be a cool thing for Fantasy Flight to be able to do now that the CMON has kind of moved over to Asmodee, right? Or at least Zombicide. You got to wonder what other stuff they're going to acquire from CMON. So I don't know. It'd be a cool thing for them to come back and do, even if it doesn't move over to Asmodee, and another partnership seems in order to make that happen. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Definitely, we'll keep our eyes open for this one. Let me know if you're playing Twilight Imperium in the comments section below. What was your first game? Did you start with 4th edition, or did you start older? I started with 3rd edition, but I never played anything earlier than that. Let me know. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all. You can't take the sky from me, and always wash your socks.